Hey YouTube. So for those of you, the handful of people that followed me previously, I'm back. And for those of you who have no idea who I am and want to know what the hell I mean by I'm back, I'll explain. So my name is Callista. I'm 32 years old. 4 years ago, as of this past Monday actually, I had a vertical sleeve gastrectomy at Loyola University Medical Center with Dr. Chand in Maywood, Illinois. It's just right outside of Chicago. He did a vertical sleeve gastrectomy on me. Everything went fine. I didn't have any issues. But what I did do, and I had promised not to do, was I fell off my channel. I stopped updating, and I will explain why that happened. So for those of you who are wondering where the hell I went, and for those of you who are still wondering, what do you mean by I'm back? I'll explain. So there's this thing that happens. I don't know how soon out it happens for other people, but for me it happened around month 4. After you get over that initial fatigue and, you know, the achiness from having a surgery, you all of a sudden get this like burst of energy, and you stay on like this cloud nine where like you literally have like all this energy. You're never hungry. You basically, like, I call it like the superhuman effect. Like, this happened to me with the surgery where like I had like all this energy. I wasn't hungry. I could just go and go and go and go and go. And the one way that I would know that I was hungry or that I needed to eat was I would get a migraine. So like my body was not interested in food. And then once I could feel like a light headache coming on, by that point it was typically too late, and I would end up with a migraine because I waited too long to eat. So I kind of like was able to gauge my body, and I realized that roughly every like 5 to 6 hours I had to eat something. It didn't have to be big, but even if it was just like a little something like a hard-boiled egg or something, like it was enough to like keep me from getting a headache. But once I got to the point where my body was just like starving, I would get a migraine. And like I said, like once a tiny part of headache would start, it was impending doom because it was gonna cause a migraine at that point, and there was no stopping it once it started. But other than that, like I didn't have any really horrible, like I didn't have horrible, responses to things. Like I threw up a couple things, but I mean, I think that's kind of normal. Like your body's readjusting. I mean, it's like a newborn. Like you wouldn't feed a newborn cocktail shrimp and expect them not to vomit. And, you know, I was doing stuff like that. So, basically I was feeling myself a little too hard and just totally fell off of YouTube. Fast forward to about 10 months out, I got to my lowest. I had lost 73 pounds from my highest weight. And then I ended up gaining back 30 of those pounds. So I'm right now sitting somewhere between like 260, 262 pounds, just depending on the day. If I'm holding more fluid or whatever the case is, that's where I'm sitting right now. And the reason that I did decide to come back was A, to let people know that it is very possible for you to fail at a weight loss surgery, and B, to discuss the fact that I will, sorry, I'm picking at my nails, the fact that I will be going forward with a revision from a vertical sleeve gastrectomy to a Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. So, just to give you guys a tiny more bit of background, at 13 months post-op, I found out I was pregnant. We weren't expecting a toaster. Like, we knew we were having unprotected sex, and there was a very high possibility that I could get pregnant. So I did get pregnant. And then part of why some of the weight gain came back, and I'm not blaming it on my doctor. Part of it was my fault. I went to see a special high-risk team at Rush University Medical Center, which is not the same group of doctors that I had my bariatrics with. And although they're very skilled at dealing with high-risk patients, which I was, because I was at risk of dying during my pregnancy. I was also at risk of, if not dying, delivering super, super, super early, and my daughter would have had to been put in a neonatal ICU, and she was, but she wasn't as early as they were anticipating she could have been. So she was only 3 weeks early, and she only spent 4 days in the NICU. But, I mean, they were anticipating that they may have to induce labor at 25 weeks and have her develop from there. So I did get very, very lucky. But the OB that was following me, or in charge of my care, had suggested to me that when I'm full, to take just a couple more bites to keep the baby from becoming malnourished. And instead of taking, like, the medical knowledge that I had and saying, like, wait, hold on, the baby can eat off of my body, I shouldn't have to adjust what I'm eating, or telling him, hey, here's my bariatric team's information, why don't you get with them and come back to me, like, and just give me guidelines or, like, a plan of how I should go about this. I just took his word for it, and I went with it, and ultimately what ended up happening was I was able to eat more and more food over time, because the top of my sleeve, and we figured this out, not because I just thought this happened, we actually did a barium swallow test after we did an EGD. The EGD showed that, like, I didn't have any ulcers or anything. I did have a 2 to 3 centimeter hiatal hernia, which is not horrible, but it was causing, like, really bad acid reflux, which is what prompted me to go see my bariatric team after my daughter was about, like, 1.5 years old, is when I really started to feel it. So we found out there was, like, a mild hiatal hernia, which they'll be fixing when they go back in. And we also found out from the barium swallow test that the top of my sleeve is, like, nice and skinny like it should be, and then the bottom kind of, like, bubbles out. So it kind of looks like a gourd or, like, a squash or, like, I don't know what you would, that's how I describe it. So it's no longer a sleeve, it's more like a squash now. But I will be revising to have it turned into a Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. I was very on the fence about it, and I had to stop being a selfish cunt and realize that this isn't about me anymore, that I have well, she's now 2, she'll be 2.5 in May. So I now have a toddler who needs her mom. Like, I'm with her day in and day out, and that's important to me, that, like, this new bariatric surgery is not just because, oh, I didn't get skinny enough, or I didn't get, you know, where I wanted to be. It's that I didn't get healthy enough. And as far as my health goes, I'm not where I need to be. Is skinny part of it? No, it's a bonus. Like, it'll be great to be able to shop and, A, not have to shop at Torrid. Like, I don't shop Lane Bryant just because, A, they're too expensive, and B, their clothes are fucking hideous. But, like, I don't want to go to Torrid and spend $30 on a pair of leggings. Like, are you out of your mind? I can go to Old Navy and buy them for $10, but guess what? If I'm thinner, those, like, more flimsy ones from Old Navy may look a little bit better. Just saying. So, yeah, I will be going forward with Roux-en-Y. I am a month away from submitting my paperwork to insurance. My first go-around, I did have a PPO insurance, so I didn't really have a waiting period with my insurance. This go-around, I have an HMO, so I had to do a 6-month supervised like, journaling of my food and activity with my dietitian. So we just passed the 5 months a week and a half ago. Yeah, a week ago, sorry. We got past that. Tomorrow will be a week. So 3 weeks from now, I will be going back on March 16th, and we will be submitting to my insurance. The plan is that I would be having surgery by the 2nd week of April. If for some reason it's pushed back, the very latest that I would be having it would be the 2nd week of May. So that's what we're looking at right now. I didn't want to come and, like, touch base with you guys too soon and then just like not have anything to say or anything to touch base with in the in-between time. So that will be going on. Part of the reason I did decide that I wanted to journal this or vlog it or blog it or whatever you want to call it, the reason I wanted to record this journey was so that I have something to go back and look at and say, hey, you went through this not once but twice. So I guess kind of like a self-motivation, but then also to be able to inform people, because I've seen maybe 3, maybe 4 people who've done videos that have had weight loss surgery after a weight loss surgery. And nobody ever says like, oh, I failed the first surgery, or it was because of gastrointestinal issues. Like, nobody gives you their whole story. So I figure I have no problem being out there in the forefront and giving my story. This is where I'm at. I would like to be able to show people like, hey, this is what it looks like for me. It's obviously not, I mean, it's not for anybody else to say like, oh, that's going to happen to me, or, you know, or that's not going to happen to me, or whatever. But just to kind of let people know that, you know, there are differences from getting a Roux-en-Y to start off with and getting a revision of Roux-en-Y. Because there's a 20% chance that a vertical sleeve gastrectomy will fail, and I have already fallen into that 20% demographic, I now go into the demographic of the chances of my Roux-en-Y failing, and Roux-en-Y is typically between 10 to 15% chance of failure. So my chances of failing the Roux-en-Y are closer to the 15% than they would be to the 10%, like, chances. So I am at an increased risk to fail my second surgery. But I am going to go ahead and I'm going to see how this pans out, because I have no choice but to be serious about it. I hopefully have learned from my first go around with becoming superhuman and thinking that I am untouchable, to maybe this bringing me, you know, back down to the ground to say like, hey, it's just because it looks really good in the beginning, if I don't follow through, or I'm not working out like I need to be, or I'm not following up with my doctors like I need to be, I could be in trouble. So, that's pretty much where I'm at right now. The surgery is expected to happen, like I said, either in mid-April or mid-May. And I will be coming back right after this video. I'll be recording another video. So if you see me sitting here in my pajamas, my just woken up hair, looking a hot mess, with the second video, you'll know it's because it's a totally different video. But things that I do want to mention really quick before I cut off the video are that before I felt like the only thing I could talk about was like my weight loss surgery, because that's really the only big thing that was going on. But now I feel like I have a little bit more to talk about, because I did just go through the process of applying to nursing school. So for people who want information about like the HESI exam, if they're getting ready to apply for nursing school, or people who are waiting to find out if they got into nursing school, I could talk a little bit about that. So I have a little bit to talk about, and then I could kind of follow my journey of nursing school as well. And it gives me a way to like update on more things. Like, I'll have more content for my channel than just, oh, hey, I'm losing weight. Like, there's more that goes on with me than just weight loss. So I'll be touching on that. Another thing is, I want to hopefully touch on things like with my daughter, like hopefully like with potty training, and then like maybe I could give ideas of how like what worked for me, because I'm currently in the process of potty training. And then also I have gotten into playing with my Cricut, which I just got. So I'll be like showing you guys like little projects that I've done and stuff like that. So I feel like I have a little bit more to my channel than what I had to offer before. And hopefully that will keep me busy, and it will keep me in the habit of updating my channel. So for those of you who have just joined me, welcome. For those of you who followed me before, I'm back. Sorry that I was an asshole before, but I promise I will really try to keep up with my channel. So thank you guys for watching. I will talk to you later. Bye.